Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we're going to be tuning into a pretty natural, everyday kind of English conversation.
Yeah, this one's between two friends, Daniel and Rachel. They're catching up at a cafe.
Right, and our source for this is an episode from English Listening Lab.
hmm
And our mission really is to sort of pull out the insights, about their lives, the choices they've made, maybe the subtle things going on in their chat.
Think of it like, well, people watching with a purpose. We've got Daniel, who's just back from a whole year traveling Southeast Asia.
Wow, a year.
Yeah, and then there's Rachel, who's been holding down the fort back home, working in media.
Okay. And for you listening, for you the learner, this isn't just like eavesdropping.
No, definitely not.
We want to dig into what this chat tells us about travel versus sticking with a career, how friendships change over time, maybe those little moments of, personal growth that pop up.
Exactly. We're hunting for those aha moments, but, without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Okay, so let's get into it. This reunion.
Right. The setting itself is, well, it's pretty telling, isn't it? A downtown cafe, you can imagine the background buzz, maybe some quiet music.
Yeah, very familiar.
And that initial moment, seeing each other after a year, you can almost feel that slight awkwardness or maybe surprise. It shows how time and distance really do have an effect.
Oh, absolutely. And Rachel immediately points out Daniel's tan.
Yes,
Such a quick visual way to say, you've really been away.
exactly. And then Daniel, what does he mention? Missing home, especially the coffee.
Yeah, that small thing. After all that adventure, he misses coffee.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it? About how those big experiences, they don't just erase the need for like simple comforts.
It's a kind of anchor, isn't it? Human nature.
Precisely. That need for the familiar is still there,
Yeah.
even when you've been seeking the totally unfamiliar. It's about habit, sensory stuff, feeling grounded.
Okay, so they've got their coffee, presumably. Now the real catch-up starts.
Mm.
Let's talk about Daniel's big trip. What really pushed him to do that? It wasn't just a holiday, right?
No, not at all. He says specifically he was feeling burnout from his corporate job.
Ah, okay. Hitting a wall.
Yeah, that feeling, questioning things. A lot of people can relate to that, I think.
Sure.
And his decision was pretty sudden. Quit the job, sell his stuff, book a one-way ticket.
Ow.
It suggests this really strong need for a complete change, like a radical break.
That's a massive leap of faith. And where did he end up going? You mentioned Southeast Asia.
Yeah, Bali, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia. So quite a tour.
Definitely immersing himself.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
And he talks about one place in particular really resonating with him.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
Hoi An in Vietnam. He said it had this magical vibe. The lanterns, the quiet streets, the food.
I can picture that. It's interesting how some places just sort of grab you, isn't it?
Totally. On a sensory level, an emotional level. And for you, the learner, that really highlights how much our surroundings can shape, well, everything. Our experiences, how we see things.
And crucially, he wasn't just like drifting, was he? He had to fund this somehow.
Right. He mentions doing freelance writing and some online English teaching part-time.
Okay, so practicalities.
Yes.
That's useful insight. It makes long-term travel seem maybe less like a total fantasy.
Exactly. If you're resourceful, adaptable, it can be a real lifestyle.
It challenges that whole idea of work and travel being completely separate boxes.
Yeah, they could definitely be integrated. Now let's switch over to Rachel. Her steady life, as you called it, the contrast is pretty stark.
It really is. While Daniel's off exploring ancient temples, whatever, Rachel's navigating her career path back home. Got a promotion, you said?
Yep, at her media company, managing digital campaigns.
That sounds all respectable.
It does. And it reflects, a different set of priorities, different choices.
Yeah.
Many people take that path.
She does say something interesting, though, about the creativity aspect.
Yeah, she admits it's maybe less creative than I'd like, but still interesting.
Ah, the classic trade-off.
Exactly. Balancing what you love with, well, what pays the bills or what's practical.
But she hasn't totally given up on the creative side?
No, not at all. She's still journaling, and she mentions wanting to get her blog going again.
Oh, nice.
Which suggests there's still that underlying pull, that need for something more personal beyond the job title.
And Daniel remembers her writing, encourages her, calls it thoughtful.
Yeah, that's a lovely moment. Shows how friends can kind of champion those parts of us, even if their own lives are totally different.
It really does. And that blog post idea she gets right there, an unexpected cappuccino.
Yeah, perfect.
It just shows how inspiration can come from, well, anywhere. An everyday moment.
Exactly. Ordinary things sparking new ideas. Which actually leads us nicely into thinking about personal growth, those shifts in perspective they both seem to be talking about.
Definitely. Daniel sounds like he's really changed internally.
Mm.
Stressing less, appreciating slow mornings, living with less stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like the travel wasn't just about seeing places. It was about um, fundamentally changing how he sees things, his priorities.
For the listener, that's a great example of how stepping right outside your comfort zone can, well, clarify what you actually value.
Absolutely. And then you have Rachel dreaming of a reset.
Right. The cabin in the woods, the beach in Portugal.
That feeling is so universal, isn't it? That desire to just hit pause, disconnect, find some space.
Even if you don't actually book the one-way ticket like Daniel.
Exactly. It highlights that need we all have sometimes for just mental breathing room.
And Daniel encouraging her to take a break, coming from him, that must land differently.
Yeah, you'd think so. He's just lived the benefits of it. It's like, hey, I get it. Maybe you should.
Yeah.
A shared understanding, perhaps.
So looking ahead, Daniel's future seems pretty wide open.
Very much so. And that's interesting in itself. He's not sure what's next. Keep freelancing. Move somewhere smaller. Maybe open a cafe.
A cafe, okay.
Yeah, it shows he's not rushing back into the old mold. He's leaving space for things to emerge.
Which can be scary, but also exciting.
Right. And the way he describes this potential cafe, soft jazz, mismatched mugs, bookshelves, good muffins.
He's really thought about it. Sounds lovely.
It does. And Rachel's reaction is great. She's like, yes, I'll come right there.
That's real support.
It really is. And it shows how their individual dreams can kind of weave together. His cafe, her writing space.
And he promises her free chai every morning.
Uh-huh. Yeah. A fair trade. It's a nice little picture of mutual support.
Their chat isn't just about them, though. They touch on other life stuff, too, right?
Yeah, bigger milestones. Rachel's becoming Aunt Baby Leo.
Oh, lovely.
And Daniel congratulates her. Then he mentions his cousin just had twins.
Wow, babies everywhere.
It seems like it. But those are the things, the shared life events that keep friends connected, even when their daily lives are quite different.
And that little moment where they realize they might be getting old.
Yeah, but also getting better.
Yeah.
It's kind of poignant, isn't it? Acknowledging time passing, but maybe gaining some wisdom too.
A shared history. What about romantic relationships? Does that come up?
It does, briefly. Daniel says he hasn't really had anything serious because, well, he's been traveling constantly.
Makes sense. Hard to maintain something.
Yeah. It just shows how life choices impact different areas. And Rachel mentions a relationship recently ended.
Oh, okay.
But her take on it is interesting. She frames it as learning what she doesn't want.
That's a valuable lesson, though.
Right.
Even from tough experiences. Gives you clarity.
Exactly. Clarity about your own needs, your desires.
There's also this real feeling of nostalgia running through it, I thought.
Oh, definitely. When they notice the cafe hasn't changed a bit.
Yeah. And remembering their old routine, those Sunday visits.
And the specific details, like Rachel always getting a raspberry scone.
And Daniel always stealing a bite.
Yeah. Those little rituals, they build history. They make the friendship feel really grounded and real.
It does. And they reflect on being full of ideas back in college and maybe feeling a bit quieter now.
Which feels very true to life,
Yeah.
The way we evolve, the different stages we go through. Friendships change shape along with us.
So thinking about Daniel's big choice again, quitting the job, the travel, does he regret it?
Not one bit, it sounds like. He talks about the perspective he gained, the sense of peace, all the stories.
The intangible rewards.
Exactly. Things you can't really put a price on. And Rachel's immediate reaction is just, sounds like something I need.
Wow. That really hits home, doesn't it? It validates his choice, but also speaks to that universal longing.
It really does. It makes you think about the value of taking those big risks sometimes and the unexpected gifts they can bring.
And they end on a hopeful note, looking forward.
Yeah. Daniel hoping Rachel gets her trip to Portugal.
And Rachel looking forward to his maybe mountain cafe.
With a reserved seat for her, of course.
Of course. So wrapping up this deep dive into Daniel and Rachel's chat from English Listening Lab, what's the big takeaway for you, the learner?
I think it's just how much richness there is in these seemingly simple everyday conversations. You get this fantastic window into different ways of living, into how people grow and change, and just, the strength of connection between people.
It really shows how much we can learn about big human themes change, meaning comfort, risk, just by, well, paying closer attention to a casual chat.
Yeah. It kind of encourages you to listen differently, maybe